Good morning. Good morning. As we are recording this special quarter 4 tax special with my friend Joe Dichiara, the Jets have won their first game. The Giants have won their first game. And as we are both Yankee fans, they have clinched a playoff spot. But as 2021 has really sped by us, I thought it would be helpful to all of my subscribers to bring on a tax professional to get your head in the right spot come tax season. My name is Vincent A. Lancey, and you can find me at Vincent A. Lancey across all social media platforms. I'm honored to have this guy on the show today. He had originally reached out. He's been on That Entrepreneur Show. He's got some books. He's been on Writing with Authors. And as they relate to today's show, he's written your amazing itty bitty bookkeeping book, and From Myths to Money. He's an entrepreneur who is a CPA as well. You don't hear that often, but he does a lot. And I want to bring him on to help you. Joe Dichiara. Joe, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you, Vincent. It's great to be seen.
Would you mind giving our audience a quick preview of who Joe is before we dive into tax talk?
Sure. Like you said, I'm an entrepreneur that just happens to have a CPA license. I was tricked into being a CPA when I was 17 by my dad. My idea was to be somebody like Warren Buffett, I guess, or just buy businesses, run them, be a titan of industry, be a billionaire. And I wound up doing bookkeeping. So your plans don't always go the way that you expect them. I've learned that. But in the meantime, even though I resented my dad for over 25 years for tricking me, I've gotten to work with thousands of small business owners over a 35-year career. I've seen all kinds of different tax situations, and I'm a problem solver, Vince. I got involved in tax problem resolutions, and I got an inside scoop on exactly how the government works. And I use that today to help my clients create what I call stealth tax strategies to fly under the radar and reduce their taxes. But more importantly, the business is only part of the equation, believe it or not. I thought it was the whole equation. No, because if you're making profits, and I hope you are, what are you doing with the money? People forget that. So I consider myself more of an educator and sort of like the Pied Piper, trying to lead people down the right path, because it's way too complicated. It's easy to go down the wrong path. It's easy to start a business. In fact, some people start a business, they don't even realize they're in business. It's not easy to stay in compliance. So that's been my mission. It's the least important thing to entrepreneurs just starting out, I believe, because most of my clients, it's after they find out that they're in over their head. So that's a long explanation of who I am, but that's the condensed version, believe it or not.
Well, you mentioned you're an educator. You have strategies to help people. We could kind of start out with that then. Where do you want to start off on?
Whatever we talk about, I hope that your listeners walk away with some more information that they didn't have before, some enlightenment, and maybe some hope that it's not as bad as it seems, because it always seems worse than it is, believe it or not. And we isolate as entrepreneurs. And that's why I do mastermind groups. I have a coach. I learned the hard way, Vince, and I'm trying to lessen the blow for new entrepreneurs and people that, maybe just started recently getting into business. I handle, regular corporations, established corporations, but that's not really my focus right now. My focus is on serving new businesses so they don't get caught up in what I call the machine, the shredder.
Yeah. What would you say to new businesses starting out here as they have, maybe this is their first year in business, tax season's right here. What's something they need to be aware of?
Yeah. Unfortunately, if you start a business, it's going to take you 3 to 5 years. Okay. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody, especially if you don't have money coming in, that causes stress. But guess what? The stress blocks you from actually running your business. Another thing they don't teach you in CPA school. It's all about the numbers. It's all about cash flow. And that stuff is important. That's what we start with. If you don't have, there's two things you need in business. Otherwise, you don't have a business: sales and cash flow. People leave out the cash flow part. And that's where we run into problems. They don't look at their tax situation. And I've seen people throw away tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because they don't know the simple facts. And these are facts that have been around since before I even started, which mystifies me because everybody except experienced entrepreneurs are very, very confused about a simple issue about whether they should be an LLC or a corporation. Most of them don't do anything, and they stay as a sole proprietor, and that is the worst way to do business. You talked about my itty bitty bookkeeping book,
Yeah.
but my last book, which is behind me, is my itty bitty S Corp book. And I plan on writing more about S Corps because there's really nothing. It amazes me that there is very, very little info on S Corps. There's plenty of info on how easy it is to be a sole proprietor, about LLCs. LLCs are searched like 1,000 times more than S Corps. Now, the reason why this mystifies me is my time working for CPA firms. Every one of our clients had an S Corp. Every one. They use LLCs for things like real estate, putting assets in. That's what LLCs are good for, but not to have an operating entity. Every successful entrepreneur that I know, and I know a lot of them, have an S Corp. That's not a coincidence. So you got to go with the facts. And like I said, I became an educator. I was always an educator. I just didn't realize it.
So you recommend the S Corp for everybody starting out their businesses. Say we have the S Corp, someone like me, we've been in for a few years. Now it's tax season. What's the first thing we should be looking for?
Well, before you jump into being an S Corp, there's what they call a C Corp. You're a C Corp before you're an S Corp. And really that depends on your current tax situation. So some people believe that, well, they're not big enough, they're not making money. When they start making money, but what they're doing is they're losing tremendous tax benefits, write-offs that they could be using later on when and if they start making money. Now, people that are actually paying taxes need an S Corp, even if they don't have a business, because it's the only way to really write off expenses now. So if you don't have a business, figure one out. And if you don't know, what the benefits are, you can definitely reach me and I'll just spend 3 minutes explaining it to you.
Yeah. So now we have great insight there. What would you say to a regular working family, wife and husband who are filing taxes, have some kids? What are some tips you can give them for tax season?
Well, I'm going to give them the same tips that I give everyone and answer your last question, if that's okay.
Yes.
What you should be doing. So right now it's October. Okay. Probably the last thing on people's mind is their taxes. That doesn't mean it's not very, very important. people procrastinate, and I understand why, because who wants to think about taxes unless you're getting a refund? And if you're not, you want an extension. But that's the wrong way to think about it. We are looking at all of our clients because they have businesses. We are up to date with all of their bookkeeping, their financials. So I could take a look at where are we right now, compare it to how much they have paid in taxes, if they owe any taxes, and plan accordingly. You can't do tax planning in February and March and April. It's done. Once December 31st passes, you're done. You're what they call cash basis taxpayers. So, that's what people need to be doing. I tell my family this, they don't listen. I'm like, learn. It's not that complicated. Learn what's on your pay stub. Look at your tax, and you don't have to wait until tax season. Look at them now. Look at all the numbers. Where do they come from? They're not just made up. Some people make them up, but that's not good. But you got to be on top of it. People complain about how much they pay in taxes, or that rich people don't pay taxes. Stop complaining. Take control of your finances, and taxes happen to be probably the biggest percentage-wise expense that we have. That's a long answer to your question, but
Very well said.
It's always been like that. It hasn't changed. And I'll keep saying about experienced entrepreneurs. They know this stuff because most of us have learned the hard way. And unfortunately, the economy is different now. People don't have time to waste. They can't wait to be successful, okay, and start making positive cash flow. And I totally lost track of what the conversation was, to be honest with you. I can do that. I go off on tangents.
Yeah, we're really talking tips for regular folks. You said I asked you for a married couple with some kids, but you said these tips are actually good for everyone.
Well, okay, so and not everybody, not all of your listeners are going to be interested in running a business, but the advice doesn't change. My 3 kids all have jobs, they have kids. So I'm telling them, let me see your pay stub now. They might be, they are entitled to child tax care credit. So that's one thing. My son just had a baby. Actually, his wife had the baby. He watched. But I'm like, the baby was born in July. I'm like, you could get at least $250 a month to help you pay for the child care. That was the idea. You can get it now, not wait. Why would you want to wait? They're not paying you interest. So it's little things like that people can be aware of, and you need to educate yourself a little.
That's
not a lot.
Here, Joe. That's why we have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you do it in little snippets, it's not that painful. It's really not that painful, but it's your responsibility, isn't it?
No matter what, tax season will be here. And like you said, if you're not entitled or going to get, I should say, a big refund, it's not on the front of your mind, but you've given us that great tip to look at your pay stub now, find out where these numbers are coming from. You've given us the child care credit for all of our new parents out there. There are other tips you can get by working with a CPA like Joe. What is one more tip you want to leave our audience off with, Joe, before we sign off?
Well, yeah, if you're working, if you have a job, there are a ton of credits out there that you can get through your employer, believe it or not. Assistance, fringe benefits, so you want to make sure if you have a job that you're getting things like group term life insurance. It doesn't cost your employer that much money. Maybe you have a 401k where they match it. That's found money. It's like they're contributing half of your retirement money. Are you eligible to do a Roth IRA? And it all goes back to, are you being responsible with your finances? And if you don't have the knowledge, the time, the experience, the resources, you find somebody like me that'll teach you. People spend more in Starbucks during the year than they do on their finances.
And it makes little to no sense that when you put it like that, it should be an eye-opener. It is not hard stuff, but like you said, not everybody has time or the resources to find out this information. As I mentioned, that's what my goal with bringing Joe on the show today, to give everyone out there some common tips to really help you during tax season. His name is Joe Dichiara. Joe, where can people find you, say hello, and learn more about your services while requesting them too?
Yeah, the best thing to do is to go to my website, because we have a ton of information. We have a blog. It's bedrockbusinessbuilders.com. And we also have a resource, bedrockuniversity.com, where 98% of the courses on there are free. And we keep adding. Business stuff, not all accounting stuff. Things like my friend Mike Wolf, who's a multi-gazillionaire, talks about team building. John Limbacher, who I think created the internet and SEO, talks about building a business. So these are some of the free resources that are out there for people.
Thank you for offering that. What was that website again?
bedrockuniversity.com.
Okay. Be sure to check out those free resources. If you do not have the time this tax season, consider a professional. Joe is here to help. You know where to find him. We've learned a lot today. Be on the lookout for your paychecks now. Learn where those numbers are coming from. Do not procrastinate. There are credits for you if you have an employer. Just ask. And as a newborn parent, that is some credits you can earn as well. I want to thank you, Joe, for taking the time to sit down with me this morning as we celebrate a great New York sports day. And to everyone viewing, I hope you saw the value in this video, and stay tuned for the next exclusive video on my YouTube channel coming soon. Have a great week.
Thanks, Vincent.